So last night I was out in town, nowhere exciting, and I was sober, just to underline those obvious points. Hi there, come in. I think I went to Regent Street to have a look at the lights, the Christmas lights. I think it's Regent Street, the one with all the angels. It's really lovely, isn't it? Have everyone seen all the angels? If you haven't actually seen them, they're all on Facebook, so you don't need to go out. I was very struck by them. They were very beautiful as far as, fairy lights, Christmas lights can be. But interesting thing in itself, isn't it, these Christmas lights every year. Lots of people come to London to look at the Christmas lights. I wonder why we do that. The Christmas lights seem to have become slightly epidemic, don't they, at the moment? People's houses sometimes have been kind of transformed into a whole fairy grotto and so on. It's interesting, isn't it, a cultural phenomenon? Why do we have Christmas lights? Nobody believes in that stuff anymore, or they say they don't. But, people flock to London to see the lights on Oxford Street. People put lights in their house. There's Christmas lights everywhere at the moment. I suppose I was particularly struck by the angels because they're angels. And again, there's still people interested in angels. In the actual term is angelology. There are 9 species of angels. I can't remember them all. Thrones, principalities, cherubim, seraphim. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know them because we made it up. But you can't phone them or anything. So for me, all of that, Christmas lights, the angels, or I think it's Regent Street, whatever it is our instinct for a kind of consciousness beyond ourselves. It's interesting how angels have survived into the 21st century. They were actually imported into Christianity from Zoroastrianism. St. Paul, for instance, was very uneasy about angels because of the problem of whether they're fallen angels or unfallen angels. I'm reading Paradise Lost at the moment, and there's lots of discussions about exactly how many angels fell with Satan and so on. So St. Paul was concerned about an interest in angels, but it's never been suppressed, never been able to suppress his interest in angels. Of course it gets sentimental and silly and a bit all that. But what those things represent, and I think what Christmas lights might represent, is an instinctive need that we all have, which is very, very buried within us, for a range of consciousness beyond everyday consciousness, beyond our ordinary human consciousness. For Buddhism, that is typified by the figure of the Buddha. That's why we're practicing mindfulness, is to discover a mind beyond our mind, to discover a kind of being in the world that is in the world but not of the world, a new kind of consciousness, a new way of being, a new way of interacting, a new way of living in this world, a quite new way of living. In the second half I want to sort of focus down on that. But just to sort of to give an analogy, just before I came down I had to ring one of my nieces, the eldest. I've got 2 little girls in my life, although they wouldn't like that word, little, Ria and Alex. And Alex has been quite unwell. So she didn't go to school today, so I rang her. And she said, hello, as she always does. I said, it's Maitreyabandhu. She said, nobody wants me. Nobody wants me. And I said, no, Mummy wants you, and Daddy wants you, and I want you. She said, no, nobody wants me. And really all that's happened is she's had a day off school today. Her mother has to work, she's trying to do all this work. She's busy, and so Alex is translating that as nobody wants me. So I said, yeah, I can understand how you feel that, but this build up to Christmas. Adults get quite stressed then because there's lots to organise before your mum is going to take you to New Zealand, so there's lots to organise with that, and Daddy's going to New Zealand today, and so he's been quite stressed as well. And just adults generally, you'll find at this time of year get a bit stressed. She said, I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed. I said, yeah, I know, but it's kind of different for you. But as soon as she said that, I can't explain to her what being an adult means. And not even explain quite what mummy needs to work means, if you see what I mean. So when she says, I'm not stressed, she's really thinking, I don't see anything to be stressed about. I am here. She can literally see nothing to be stressed about. And no amount of me explaining to her, no, but you remember when we get, you know this house you live in? Well, Mummy had to earn money to pay for that. She doesn't know what really money is, doesn't have any conception of it. And when you go to sleep, we have to we have to be there, and we don't. That's not like just there. We have to decide. I can't explain to a child what an adult is. I mean, it's not entirely like that, is it? Because, I said, well, one of the good things you could do, you could say to Mummy, can I go and help? Can I help in some way? Can I make you a drink or bring you an apple? She said, I tried that. Which, actually, I think is extremely unlikely. But I didn't want to contradict her. I tried that. And okay, well, good thing. But she's got some conception, but it's very, very limited of what adults are and do. Some conception, but it's very, very limited. So you can't describe to a child, what adult consciousness is, can you? You as if you've got children in your life, you know that you have to hold that you can't expect them to understand. It's interesting because they've got very clearly got a consciousness of their own. One wants to say it's a consciousness of a child, but usually when people say that, it's rather patronising. I do remember that consciousness very clearly, and it's a full-out perception of the world, isn't it? You have your own rituals, ideas, theories, perceptions, which seem to you to be pretty much adequate to your experience, don't they? That you don't think, gosh, I don't seem to know stuff. In fact, you easily think you know things. Like when I say things to Alex, she says, I know that. Doesn't actually mean she does, but children basically think they know, don't they? And you know as an adult that you can't say, no, you actually don't know. I know, I'm an adult. Often adults don't know that much either. So there is even a reality to a child's consciousness. I remember when I was a child, when my grandmother died, my brother and I went to look at her when she was in the coffin. Very open-minded of my parents to let us go and see this, my grandmother dead. And I remember my mother, or one of them, saying, she's asleep. And I thought, no way is she asleep. I had seen her asleep, and she definitely doesn't look anything like that. And then someone said, I think my mother might have said, she's gone to a better place. I thought, I don't see any evidence for that either. So I had my own very strong sense of, these adults don't know what they're talking about. All I knew is something massive had happened, and nobody that I could tell knew what had happened. These adults that were always there and created the world and sort of knew its dimensions, clearly didn't know about this one central thing, this massive event. So a child's consciousness isn't as simple as we sometimes think, but you can't explain to them what an adult consciousness is like. You can't explain to them why you feel stressed going up to Christmas. So the Buddha's consciousness is exactly like that to ours. He has a different kind of consciousness, which we literally can't understand, and he can't explain to us. And just as an adult to a child, they can say, I see what you mean. Like I try and say, I can see that you're feeling that nobody wants you, but you try to explain it, don't you? You can feel as you try to explain it that you can only explain it in a very partial kind of way. The Buddha's experience in relation to us would be exactly the same. That he's trying to explain something to us, a wholly new way of being in the world, a new kind of consciousness, analogous to an adult's consciousness in relation to a child. And as he's trying to explain it to us, he realises that I can never quite get across because you've got a child's consciousness. So I have to say, yeah, well, Mummy's a bit busy. You know when you've got lots to do at school, and you know you do. But even then, it's very difficult to find analogies, isn't it? So the Buddha's experience to us is exactly the same. He's trying to help us discover in our experience a new kind of way of being in the world. Even the word consciousness isn't very good because it suggests a new way of just seeing it, but it also includes acting, responding to others, even a new way of perceiving things that for us are givens, like space and time. So from a Buddhist perspective, which is different from a so-called secular perspective on mindfulness, all of mindfulness is trying to help you, try to help you discover a new consciousness in the context of a consciousness that is struggling to believe there could be. A child can't imagine an adult's consciousness. Or they can slightly imagine it, but it's very fragile, isn't it? It comes and goes. So I can explain things to Alex or Ria, and they literally know it for a bit, and then they don't know it anymore. I can explain things about what's happening to them, and they understand to a degree, and then they can't understand again. Our relationship to a new consciousness is exactly the same. We can get a kind of feel for it, but then we get subsumed back into our adult consciousness, just like a child's consciousness gets subsumed back into a child's consciousness. So the Buddha would say, okay, I can't tell you about the consciousness that I'm experiencing because you can't understand that. What you can do is to work with your consciousness. The first thing you need to do is set your life up so that you can attend to these bigger issues of life. Because if you're always forgetting things, being late for things, rushing about for a meeting, forgetting your mobile, losing your keys, you'll be in a chaotic state, that you won't be able to attend to the larger matters of life. And in modern life, much of us are in that state much of the time. Our mind we can't think things properly because our mind is too preoccupied. So we need to start stepping away from that kind of behaviour to create a new kind of consciousness. We need to turn off the computer, etc., etc. Yeah. And then he'd say, okay, once you've started to do that, what you start to notice is your mind is full of noise. Even when you turn off the flat screen television, or you turn off your Facebook feed, or your Twitter account, or you turn the music down, when you turn off stuff, what you notice is that your mind is full of noise. And the Buddha would say, well, that noise is prapuncture. It's mental proliferation. It's your mind going round and round in circles. So that's not going to get anywhere. Prapuncture just is circular. It means mental proliferation. It's really not going to get you anywhere in your life. Yeah? It's fruitless overthought. It's surplus thought. It's not going to take you anywhere. It's just rehashing, rehearsing, remembering, planning. And it's externalizing that by just watching lots of that on YouTube. Yeah? So you need to step out of that into your body so as to have a bit of a space from prapuncture. Yeah? So let's practice that for like a year or two. And then it's say, okay, now we've started to really feel more embodied, let's then take that a bit further and start to notice the feeling tone of your experience directly rather than what you make out of that feeling tone. So when you're on the tube and you feel that horrible panicky feeling that you can't get off when you get to your stop, instead of thinking, oh no, I can't get off, and then elbowing your way out and creating havoc, you just feel that unpleasant panicky feeling, and you remember, actually, I've never not been able to get off at my stop. It's just an unpleasant panicky feeling. So the Buddha would start to teach you to stay with your direct experience, what he would want to call Vedana, rather than working it up into a chitta, into a mental state. Uncomfortable feelings, panically, fluttery feelings, low feelings if you're feeling low, intoxicated feelings if you're feeling rather too full of yourself, etc., etc. He'd want you to be practicing that, staying with your direct experience, because that gives you even more space to start to notice your mind. And then he'd be saying, okay, once you've really worked on those basics, mindfulness of your body, and mindfulness of feeling tone, Vedana, then you need to start to notice your states of mind, because that's the key to mindfulness, is what state of mind are you in and where is it going to get you? If you become aware, you start to notice, and actually one of the first things you start to notice, hopefully, is this state of mind is going to get me into trouble if I go with that. So that state of mind where you're trying to get all that work done late at night, and you get into that kind of slightly intoxicated, alienated state where you just think you just could keep working, or keep watching television, or whatever it is, you're trying to notice, I'm in that state of mind, very, very habitually, and that's going to just get me into a state. So I need to turn off, I need to change that state of mind. Or I'm in a state of mind where, in meditation, where I'm getting more and more concentrated on the breath. That's wonderful. I can follow that, yeah? So you're trying to work out what state of mind you're in, and where is it tending. And our states of mind are always tending somewhere. They're either tending towards something destructive, limiting, frankly pointless, or they're tending towards something connecting, invalued, uplifting, enriching. I mean, we were talking to the team last week, and we were saying we're going to do communication exercises. All the team groaned. Bit like that. But I was talking to some of the team after, they said it was just really, really good. There's always something in us that resists deeper communication. There's always something in us that resists what's best for us, weirdly. So that's what we're trying to do in Chitta. And what we're trying to do in that Chitta is always about what Dharma do I need to bring to it? What meaningful, valuable understanding do I need to bring to it? Even if it's just that simple, oh my God, I'm feeling I can't get off at this tube stop, and just remembering it's fine. I've never been able to not get off at my tube station, and even if I didn't get off, guess what? I just get off at the next one. Okay, it's not a life or death thing, but you can feel that feel. Have you ever had that in the middle of the tube, and you think, this is my stop, elbowing the populace, So do you see that's you letting Vedana become a Chitta, letting Chitta take you into a negative way of being. I've actually seen I remember, this always stays in my mind, because I remember seeing a fight on the train about this, where somebody was trying to get off and somebody was trying to get on, exactly the same states of mind, and then literally getting into a fight. So your Vedana becomes a Chitta, becomes an action, and makes matters worse. Or you can stay with your Vedana and try to bring to mind a more useful Chitta. No, it's just that I'm feeling this uncomfortable feeling. I'll be fine. I don't need to force my way out and get rude to my people and set other people off, because they're all in that kind of state. So that's what working on your mind means. It means working on knowing what state of mind you're in and knowing how to help it move in a productive direction, even if that is just to think, I need to turn the computer off now. I need to turn the Netflix off now. I need to go to bed. I need to calm down. I need to notice that I'm being too critical, or whatever it is. Yeah? That is actually, and you're all doing that in your life to some degree. None of this is kind of new in a way. That is bringing to mind a Vedana, a Chitta, and bringing to that Chitta a Dharma, a teaching that you know is in your own and other people's best interest. Then what we did is we then said, and in order to help us do all that, stay with our mind and bring a Dharma to our mind, we need to first of all appreciate the natural world more and improve our cultural diet, as I put it, improve what we put into our mind. So stop watching rubbish television. So easy to do when you're tired, and you just put the children to bed or whatever it is. It's very difficult to motivate yourself to do anything valuable. So you need to consciously put things into your mind that are going to enrich your mind. And then, as well, we were saying, we need to consciously engage with other people, bring our mindfulness to other people. Actually, this is a whole huge area, mindfulness of others. Life is primarily to do with your relationship with other people. There can be no understanding of mindfulness, really, without mindfulness of other people, because nearly everything you experience has got other people mixed in it somewhere. Your feeling of stress, your feeling of anger, your feeling of love, your feeling of passion, your feeling of whatever it is, there's a person in your mind as well. So to transform your mind, you need to transform your relationships. So if mindfulness is going to be of any value, it needs to be to do with your relationship with others. Otherwise it's just a kind of weird me thing, and that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So that's where we've been doing all of that in order to start to experience a state of mind that goes beyond all of that. And in the second half I want to talk about that.